Hi, Pretties. Welcome to episode 270 of Shadows and Pretties. And today we are going to be, reading, not reading, but today we're going to be doing a review on this 1990 free horror movie called Needful Things, which is a Stephen King novel that came out in 1991. And it was the first novel that Stephen King wrote after his rehabilitation from drug and alcohol addiction, which was made into the film in the same name in 1993. So we're going to be reviewing this movie. This movie does have some good actors. I mean, pretty good acting thing. I mean, there's most of these actors I don't even recognize, but I still recognize the movie. It's a pretty good movie that, came out in 1993, and it's a good movie that came out in the 90s, and especially that is based on a story by Stephen King himself. So, I am going to basically be talking about this movie and give it like a little review of it. I'm going to basically review it and basically go to the plot on what this is about, what it's about for any of you guys who are wondering. And for those who are curious as to what this is about, I'm going to go ahead and, review this. So basically, the plot is it's about a mysterious perpetrator named Leland Gaunt, claiming to be the Akron from Akron, Ohio, who lives in a small town of Castle Rock in Maine. A sinister looking black car opens up a new antique store called Needful Things. The store sells pretty much various items of great personal worth to the residents, some of which, like a pendant that eases the pain or a toy that predicts the outcome of a horse races, and clearly supernatural. Pretty much like a thrift store, but except a little different. Gaunt then demands payment for both cash and small favors, usually pranks played by his customers on their neighborhood. Gaunt's first customer is a boy named Brian Rusk, who buys a rare baseball card featuring Mickey Mantle in the exchange for 95 cents and pranks his neighbor Wilma Walaski Jurisk. So Gaunt then makes the impression on the townspeople whom he pulls pranks on. One victim of pranks is a corrupted boat salesman and a gambler named Dan Worf Keaton, who emphasized $20,000 to the town people's tax money to pay off his gambling debts. Keaton then finds out that Sheriff Alan Bangborn was the people that were onto him, and in turn, he relies his fears to Gaunt and his hatred for those who refer to him as Buster Keaton. So, to help Keaton with his problems, Gaunt sells him a toy race car that predicts the outcome of any horse race, to whom he might recoup the 20,000 and replace the money before the townsfolk eventually find out. Gaunt then sells Frank Jewett a first edition Treasure Island book by Robert Louis Stevenson. And he also learns the rivalry between the Catholic priest, East Father Meehan, and Baptist minister, Reverend Willie Rose, and then he sells both the objects from his shop. So the first hint of Gaunt's true nature is when he was Brian and throw muck in the turkey farm into the newly laundry crisped that is white sheets hanging from the washing lines at the house of Wilma Jareski. On returning home, Wilma assumes the devastation was caused by her longtime enemy Nettie Cobb, which she goes and loudly accuses her of this Nettie's workplace. So Castle Rock Diner, Brian Rusk meets Gaunt at the lighthouse, where he informs Brian that he has not fully repaid his debt and expects a payment full right away. So Brian returns to Wilma Majoriski's house and throws apples at her house to smash all the windows. Nettie Cobb was brought a Hummel figurine from Gaunt, and that is identical to the one of her violent ex husband, has smashed it in a fit of rage. In return, she goes to Dan Keaton's house and places salation notices, allegedly from the deputy sheriff Norris Ridgwick, all around the interior, accusing him of all the misdemeanors. Now, in the meantime, Gaunt has Hug Priest kill Nettie's dog in return for a 1950s jacket like he wore at college. This, on the other hand, sparks a violent fight between Nettie and Wilma, which gets them unfortunately both killed. So Gaunt takes a personal measure towards Alan by giving him a necklace to his fiancee Polly Chalmers that cures the crippling arthritis. Gaunt then tells Polly to work it, but she never takes it off, and this is when Keaton gets found by Gaunt cowering in his shop for a gun. He tells Gaunt that he is thinking of killing Norris Ridgwick to stop him and tell everyone about his misdemeanors. Gaunt then talks him out of it and then takes the gun from him. That is when Brian witnesses the investigation in Wilma Jareski's house and hears the sheriff musing over to where the apples had came from. Brian is then shocked by his actions may have come caused in some way in his tragedy and tries to talk to Alan about what Gaunt had him do, but unfortunately he's too scared to do so. And Alan later approaches Brian where he is alone in the lighthouse and then asks what got him so scared. That is when Brian explains that Gaunt is a monster before trying to shoot himself in the head, and then the gun goes off, but the sheriff manages to save the boy and Brian is hospitalized. Meanwhile, Alan begins to suspect that Gaunt may not be what he seems. Father Meehan then slashes the tires on Hug Priest's truck, and Hug Priest sees that what has happened to his truck is thrown out of the bar for being too drunk. That's when Alan returns from a meeting with Brian and is now very suspicious of Gaunt. He tries to warn Polly and asks her to get rid of the necklace, but she is unwilling to remove it. After Alan has gone, she tries to pry the necklace open to see what's inside the necklace, but he unfortunately gets an electric shock, to which it throws the necklace across the room. Polly is immediately crippled by her arthritis and cannot be reached to pick up her necklace. Gaunt then appears in her bathroom and replaces the necklace on Polly's neck. He then states for the price of the necklace, to which it'll be $20, and for a small prank, Polly is so grateful. Pays him immediately and is clearly mesmerized by Gaunt, who then seduces her, and then which after states that Alan is corrupt and has been embezzling money from the town with Keaton for years. Gaunt then convinces Polly to go to Alan's yacht and look for the money. She does so as much money was strewn at her fiance's desk. Polly phones Alan from the yacht, accuses him for the crime, and in disgust calls off the engagement. Keaton becomes afraid of everyone, including his wife Myrtle, is out to get him, and Gaunt convinces him that he is his only ally. Gaunt then has Keegan to attack Deputy Norris Ridgwick at the police station. Alan then manages to subdue Keaton by handcuffing Keaton to his car. Shortly after, Keaton manages to escape Ridgwick by kicking him in the groin, but then he drives home to where he accuses his wife from having an affair with Norris and kills her with a hammer. When the phone rings and it is Gaunt, he tells Keaton to come to see him, and he has something for him that will make him feel better. Hug Priest then goes to the bar with a shotgun, and straight up tells the owner, who puts out the shotgun behind the bar, and they shoot each other. Gaunt's prank then spread throughout the town. Its citizens, however, mistaken suspicion and paranoia, and anger spread with it. Gaunt then starts selling customers guns, encouraging them to kill whoever wronged them. Playing on their own greed and fear, here, Gaunt and Keaton places explosives in the town's Catholic church, which, of course, Alan is inside talking to Father Meehan, relying his new suspicions that Gaunt is the devil incarnate. But Meehan, unfortunately, refuses to believe him. That's when the church explodes, but Alan and Meehan manage to escape with their lives. Father Meehan believes that Reverend Willie Rose is behind the attack on the church and leaves to fight him. A riot eventually sparks throughout the town, and that's when Gaunt, watching from the sidelines, Alan tries desperately to restore order. He pulls his gun on his father Meehan, who is trying to behead and Reverend Rose and Gaunt, who encourages him to shoot them. Alan then fires into the air, much to Gaunt's disappointment. Getting everyone's attention, Alan convinces the townsfolk of Castle Rock to come to their senses, exposing Gaunt's true nature of his web lies and manipulation. Everyone stops fighting and admits their pranks, but Keaton, who is disappointed, walks up to Alan and Ridgwick, pointing a gun at them with a bomb strapped to themselves, threatening to blow everyone up, and he is walked down by Alan, who turns against Gaunt. Keaton walks up to Gaunt and who taunts him about his inquietudes and repeatedly refers to him as Buster. Infuriated Keaton, who attacks Gaunt through the store window, setting off the bomb and destroying Needful Things. So defeated but completely unharmed, Gaunt emerges from the burning wreckage of the building, saying that this wasn't his best work. Gaunt then walks up to Alan and Polly, telling them that they would make a cute couple, and he will encourage their grandson in 2053, then departs presumably to continue his vicious evil work elsewhere, leaving the same black car when he arrived. Thus how the movie ends. Well, this is actually a pretty good story. I personally really enjoyed this film. I really do like it. It does have Max von Sydow, who unfortunately died a few years ago in 2020, which was before the pandemic hit. But I could definitely say this was definitely a pretty good movie. I personally really like the movie. I It's a good movie that even though it came out in 93, it's still a really well-made movie. I mean, I like the story behind it. I like the concept of this movie. It was a really well-made film. And I mean, it's really well made. I mean, when it comes to Stephen King movies, you definitely know Stephen King's going to be doing a hell of a lot of different stuff. But I can definitely say it's definitely one of those movies I really appreciate, being good. And it's a really good film. It's a really great film by Stephen King. And I mean, even though it came out in 1993, I still really thought it was enjoyable and well made in my eyes because I personally really enjoyed it. I thought it was well made, and the fact that, oh, pardon me, I'm just yawning, but in the in the fact that there's a lot of great storytelling. I mean, with Stephen King's books, when you read the books and then watch his movies, you will definitely see that he does a lot of weird changes at times. Whatever be changing something that was happened in the book but not in the movie, etc. It's still a pretty good film. And I recommend this film for anyone who's a Stephen King fan because, I'm a Stephen King fan myself. So if you like horror movies or if you like Stephen King, like if you like the books or whatever, I highly recommend you check out this movie. This movie is a pretty good movie, especially that it came out in the 90s. Horror movies that came out in the 90s and 80s were pretty popular at the time, and this is definitely one of them. So, I guess with that being said, I personally recommend this movie. It's a really good movie, although I have not watched it in a really long time. I think the last time I watched this movie was like, I don't know, a few years ago, but I'm really going to have to look into watching it again because it was definitely a really good movie. It's really well made in detail. It's got a great concept. It's really awesome. And I do recommend it to those who have not seen this movie yet. So, anyways, what do I think of it? It's pretty good, like I said before. I don't see anything what was wrong with it. I have not read the book, but the movie is pretty good. I definitely recommend you read the book, but I also recommend you watch the movie as well if you are a Stephen King fan. So, like I said before, this is just simply my own personal opinion, and if you disagree with me, that's fine too. We're all entitled to our own opinions in regards to these movies. This is simply my own personal thoughts. And I'm going to say right now, if you like the book, that's awesome. If you like the movie, that's awesome too. If you don't like the book or if you don't like the movie or either or, that's perfectly fine. I respect your opinion. So, anyways, with that being said, if I'm missing anything about this movie and you guys know what it is that I miss, please let me know what it is in the comments below because I personally would like to hear what your thoughts are on this movie as well. So, what did you guys think of this movie? Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If you like the book, that's perfectly fine too. Let me know what you guys think. So, I guess with that being said, and that being the case, I am the Lion Queen. I want to thank you so much for watching today's video. And if you're new to my channel, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you're new. Ring the bell for notifications to when I upload, so that way you guys will not miss an upload. And as always, if you are wanting to follow my DeviantArt account, link to that will be in the About page section of my channel. If you want to follow me on Twitter, link to that will be in the About page section of my channel as well. Also, if you're interested in following up with my backup channel known as Miss Dark Shigo, link to that will be in the about page section in my about page section of this channel in the about page. So link to that will be there. So anyways, I guess with that being said, like I said before and I'll say it again, if I'm missing something, let me know what it is in the comments below. So as always, I'll be seeing you all in the next video. Peace out.